All right, welcome to Market Day Report. I'm Scott Schulte, otherwise known as the Cow Guy, and I'm in the chair all day today. So buckle up. Let's bring this to you in a nice, informative manner so that you've got an idea about what your money's doing, because these markets are your money. And Friday was one for the record books, I believe. Let's take a look at how things are so far this morning. Now, we've got overnight trade in that corn. We were just a little easier, but I'll tell you right now, that corn market was pretty healthy on Friday, and it really rallied up to closed about 7 cents higher. So we've got DC off a penny and 3/4 at 5.85. March is off 2 cents at 5.89 3/4. So a little quiet there after the rally that we saw on Friday, in the face of a much lower oil market. Ethanol would have been hit too. So corn strong. How about soybeans? Strong too. Look at this. Jan up 8 3/4 cents at 12.61 and a half, and then March up 9 cents in that overnight trade. Wheat, Chicago wheat, this was healthy as well. 3 3/4 cents higher in that D's contract. We can probably start looking at March. Let's look at March. 3 1/4 cents higher at 8.43 and a half. But we had actually even better gains in the hard red wheat and spring wheat. Kansas City up 10 cents in that D's. But let's look at March. 8 cents higher at 8.77 even. So that's just a little bit off the lows though. So it looks like we gave back some real estate before we closed for the overnight session, moving into today's session. Spring wheat again, also up 6 1/4 cents in that March contract at 10.54 3/4. And let's take a quick gander, as they say, at cotton. Cotton's up $1.60 at 118.20 in these contract. It's up 28 cents at 112.06 in March. That also took it on the chin pretty healthily on Friday, so we'll see how it does, if it holds in. All right, let's bring in Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions on a Monday morning after a Friday debacle. Hopefully that didn't upset your turkey day too much, Brian. I think it'll be interesting to see once we got all these people back in the office and how things actually shape up today. But the markets, as far as equities go, have come back a little bit, and so maybe that brings some calm to things. What do you think?
Yeah, good morning, Scott. Yeah, it was kind of like you said, one for the record books on Friday. We had a couple of our brokers that were going to take some time off on Friday and be with their family, and things just got so crazy they ended up coming back into the office. And I think that was kind of the case in a lot of brokerage offices and fund managers around the country. They decided they had to get back in because of all the movement, all the volatility we saw on Friday, and hopefully things are going to be a little bit more orderly today. We saw the big rally on corn, which I thought was very impressive on Friday. It's a market that everything else was down, everything was against it, but it came back, and that's a market that has very good fundamentals. Last week we saw a marking year high in weekly export sales. Weekly EIA report was bullish. And that market had a good recovery. And so even though it's down in the overnight, overall, I think that's still a very healthy market. And hopefully, as I said, we'll get back to more orderly fashion. We have first notice day tomorrow and deliveries posted after the close today. So, the trade would be kind of moving out of December into March as it's bullishness. But you look at corn, a lot of those spreads have really narrowed up between the months, telling us that the demand is here and now in the front months. Soybean meal is that way. That's another real strong market, an inverted market. So showing some bullish fundamentals in a lot of these grains, and hopefully we can extend the rally, and we'll look back 30 days from now or whenever and just say, hey, this was just a blip on the charts, just a pullback, and we're continuing to work our way higher on tight basis levels and other bullish demand factors.
All right, and I think we're going to get some stability. I threw up a crude chart. That was the 9th largest sell-off we've ever seen at crude on Friday, and I mean that's got to include that minus $40 day we had last year in 2020. But it's up, as we can see here, $4.64 and above that 70 level. So that also should bring some calm to the waters here. But again, you're right. I think another story, and I'll bring it up when we come back from the break, is that corn market as well, and what it did to the feeder cattle market. And you're right. I mean, there was some unprecedented strength there. And I know also we haven't said anything about it, but we also have to throw in there options expiration as well. And that had something, some stuff to do with everything as well. All right, so stay right there. I know you're not going to go away, but stay right there. We're going to go away, pay some bills. I'm going to come back and talk livestock with Brian Hoops from the Midwest Market Solutions after these messages. All right, here we are. Welcome back to Market Day Report. I'm Scott Schulte, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Thank you for tuning in today. It's going to be an interesting day. It can't not be after what we saw happen on Friday. But I am the Cow Guy, and I've been through a lot of these myself, actually, around the world, believe it or not, in 34 years. So I'd like to say I'm old hat at this, but that doesn't mean it doesn't change every single time, and you get something new. So let's take a look at what happened in the live cattle on Friday. Look at this. They were up a little bit here. 20 cents higher in the D's contract at 138.10. We had Feb also up 32 cents at 141.20. We did tail off a little bit, but very, very tiny. 5 cents, 7 cents, and 7 cents, respectively, in April, June, and August. So a pretty decent board considering what we saw happening there. So let's move along to feeders. I thought this was a story. We'll ask Brian about it when we get to him, but 22 cents higher in January there, 167.15, March up 7. So that's a pretty strong board considering what we just talked about in the first half with what corn did, up 7 cents on Friday. That's some good going right there, right? That's some good going. So that was a good board on Friday. That was pretty healthy, and maybe that's telling us something down the road that it's going to hang in there. And this one was the one that really took it on the chin. We had these hogs off $2.22 at 73.20. They really, really slowly but surely eroded all day. So let's get to Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions. Bring him in. Brian, I think the story really on Friday for me was what the corn and feeders did in tandem. After you wanted to talk about equities and say even crude oil. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. The feeder cattle market really strong on Friday. Live cattle market really strong. And so, yeah, I see what you're saying about the corn being higher and feeder cattle rallying despite the strength in the corn market. And you look at what happened with the stock market on Friday, big meltdown, huge losses in the Dow. And the cattle market could have really just fallen apart. It did open lower, gap lower, as we talked about it being a risk-off day on Friday. But then it started to come back and trade in line with where the cash markets were. And that was $3 to $4 higher last week. And they're looking for more gains again this week. And so I thought it was very impressive that the cattle market recovered by the closing bell to close higher and have a big sweeping day. And I think it was a new all-time high close for this April contract on Friday. So, yeah, you had a big drop in the stock market, but cattle market shrugging that off and just anticipating we're going to see more cash strength this week and that economy is going to recover.
Yeah, you know what? I've learned over my years of doing this job that you just don't, you got to respect moves like that on days like that, because that might be trying to tell you something maybe 2 weeks down the road. All right. I really appreciate you being on. That's Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions. Thanks for taking the time out this Monday morning. I'm going to bring it back to Nashville and then throw it over to Tammy.